guys, it's your girl Victoria, and for today we'll be reviewing Belle Collective Birmingham Season 1, Episode 3, called The Life Before the Storm. This is what I'm talking about. Some people may think it's boring, like my mom, because she told me, like, oh, I can have that. And I'm going to have it because I'm like, now we're getting into the nitty gritty of things. Now I feel like the show is picking up. Now I'm like, okay, we're getting to where, like, I'm watching intently. I'm watching second for second. I'm not like watching it and doing whatever else. Anyway, we're picking up where we left off last week. Okay, so Fumi confronting Tiffany. You know, they was kind of having banter going back and forth. But it ends up with, you know, Fumi just saying, you know, she's going to leave and thank you for inviting her. She said that to Tiffany, but Tiffany lets us know in the confessional, like, you invited yourself. And she did, so whatever. Okay, so then we get to Stormy. She, you know, kind of walks with Fumi outside to kind of get her perspective on things before going inside and hearing Tiffany's perspective on things. And, you know, Tiffany's talking to, you know, Amber, Shanetta, Stormy, I think someone else, but whatever the case may be. Stormy makes mention that, you know, the girls, you know, specifically Shanetta, told Fumi to come and, you know, try to talk to her about it at the event. Shanetta, my apologies. She's just like, no. Me and Stormy both looking at her like, we need to roll the clip. And they did. And pretty much showing not only her, but also Amber telling Fumi, like, yeah, I think you should come. And then producers told Amber that in a confessional. She's like, oh, I did? Oh, I forgot. Amber, ma'am, let's not start that. Let's not start that. You cool. But, you know, I'm starting to see a little ways about you where I'm just like, girl, you're going to have to, you know, stand firm in yourself or something. Because, you know, I might make a comment about it later. I don't know. But anywho, so here goes Tiffany saying, okay, time to clean up. You know, I'm going to need you to mop. Like, we're going to need you to mop. Start looking at her crazy, like, man, I'm a whole CEO out in this piece. I am not mopping for nothing. And I don't blame her. Even, I'm not no CEO of nothing. I'm only CEO of my own life. But, like, I'm not mopping nobody's floor but my own. Like, I'm not. I may help you pick up some things, but I'm not gonna mop nobody's floor but mine. So I don't blame Stormy. So she eventually leaves, and then we get to Stormy's house. I guess maybe the next day, Mike comes over to discuss the live. She's talking about inviting Martell to the live. She calls him, invites him, he accepts, and you know, she explains her reasonings and stuff. But let me keep it 100. All right, you said for this and that, you know, he's hot. All the girls think he's hot. You know, I'm trying to figure out what girls think he's hot, because I don't think he, you know, whatever. But let's keep it a buck, okay? You know what inviting Martell gonna do. I haven't watched Love and Marriage Huntsville. My mom did, so she was the one who had to, like, inform me of the history of all that stuff that was going on. But in all honesty, like, you doing this for views, okay? This is great marketing. Not saying this is bad, Stormy. Is it messy? From what I've heard of the whole ordeal and stuff, a little bit. But you know what it's gonna do? By inviting Martell, once people see Martell there, just like I remember the live. I was there. Not physically, but, you know, TikTok. But no, me and a group of people who are also obsessed with Canvas Beauty, we be talking. And when we seen Martell, we was all like, is that Martell? Marketing, because when they see Martell there, everybody gonna message each other like, yo, Martell is on Stormy's live. What is that gonna do? Bring more views. What is that gonna do? Actually have product. People probably gonna be like, let me see what this hitting for, since everybody be upset. Bro, that's smart. That's smart. Would I do that if I was in a position? Probably not. I'm not trying to be messy. I don't like to be in drama. But, you know, if we're trying to get this money. I mean, I guess sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So then they start talking about Tiffany and the whole event from the night prior. Stormy says she uninvited Tiffany because, you know, she's all about energy. Okay, cool. It is what it is at this point. So then we get to Amber going to Tiffany's house to discuss the whole event thing the night before. And then Shanetta calls Amber to tell her, like, everybody else is invited to the live except for Tiffany from the whole Belle Collective cast. So Tiffany's kind of just like, it is what it is. I'm not too pressed about it. Like, she don't say those word for word, I'm just paraphrasing. But she's just confused. She tells us in the confessional that, she is kind of confused why she's all of a sudden not invited to the live. But, if Stormy feels like, she shouldn't be there or whatever, she's not going to be there. So Amber, or I don't know who I just said, but Tiffany, that's what Tiffany done said. Amber is just like, oh, I don't know why, she would uninvite you, da 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 da. And then Tiffany was like, well, but I can understand maybe the vibes just not clicking because the vibes wasn't clicking with me and Kayla. Then Tiffany was just like, oh, but that's a whole different thing because Kayla did something. And then Amber's like, oh, maybe in Fumi's defense, she felt like you did something or whatever. So, like, she understands why maybe Fumi has an issue with Tiffany, but not Stormy. All right, Amber, let's keep it a buck. If I was in your position, I would tell her, I would keep it a buck. Maybe, I don't know, I don't think she's taking Fumi's side. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Trey barked at you. And Trey is Stormy's baby. So, and she said he never done that before to nobody. So yeah, that's probably already a little red flag for Stormy. Then on top of that, at your event, you making her clean up and mop. And you kept saying, time to mop the floor, time to mop the floor, time, like you did like 6 times. So it's just like, Amber, you were there. I mean, I guess maybe she didn't realize that bothered Stormy, but at the end of the day, like, seeing, like how Stormy said, Tiffany snooty. The other episode when she was just like, oh, Fumi gonna grab my coat, and then saying, oh, Stormy, you gonna mop the floor. So yeah, and it's your event, Tiffany. Why are you not mopping the floor if you feel like the floors need to be mopped? And didn't you guys rent a venue? So why can't the people who rented, who owns the venue, clean up? At this point, look, I understand people don't want to be paying extra money for those type of stuff. If I'm getting a venue, like, I'm gonna need you to include cleanup in that, whatever you charging me, because I ain't trying, like, especially after an event. Well, it's a little small shindig, but if it's to the point we renting out venues for some couples game night, include cleaning fees and all that stuff in there, because I'm not trying to clean up shit. Okay. Anywho, so we didn't get to Kayla. She's at home with the kids, doing mom life. Her kids are beautiful. They're all like different variations, fonts of Kayla. I guess she was talking with her son. I guess he told the teacher to eat his meat or something. Okay, sir. All right. Whatever. Okay. Kayla don't cook. She says she can, she just doesn't want to. Man, you didn't even know the right amount of water to put for noodles to make for pasta. It's a whole box that gives you instructions. There's also something called the internet, Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, Google, ChatGPT, pasta, bro. It's one thing if you saying, oh, you don't know how to make biryani or something, pasta, bro. Kayla, come on. Your kids making food and you don't know how to make pasta? Damn shame. But I mean, look, hey, her house is beautiful. She beautiful. Her kids beautiful. Jason don't mind. So, I mean, who am I to say anything? Anyway, so she talks about, how her and her husband kind of got married so quickly. It's because, she didn't tell her mom she was dating someone. And I guess they was at Domino's or somewhere. The mom done pulled up on them. She was upset, saying explicitives, kicked Kayla out. And, homeboy was like, come live with me or whatever the case may be. Kayla don't want to live with homeboy if they not married. So they got married literally 11 days later. So my question to you, Kayla, if that's the case, your mama kicked you out, where was you staying for those 11 days while, you was waiting to get married to homeboy? Because you don't be talking about you went to the hotel with homeboy. Because at that point, you could have just went to his house. Because, you could be staying with somebody and not live with them for real. Just a question, But anywho, we then get to Stormy. She's at the warehouse doing promo for the live. The finished books came in. Looks way better than the last ones. They call Michael, whatever, to discuss, like, when are the whole shipment or whatever coming in. And if they were to get it shipped, it was going to come at a later date. Excuse me. A couple of days later than what they originally planned or whatever, or when they needed it by. Stormy asked, can she come pick it up? He said, yeah. So I guess Courtney, her husband, owns a trucking company, whatever. So he gonna go out there and get it. Look, anything that has to be delivered or picked up in a ASAP amount of time, Courtney be coming through for his wife. Because I remember when at the live, someone won a car. I think it was in New Orleans. Courtney was the one who delivered it to homegirl. So look, Courtney be coming through when he need to come through. So we didn't get to Amber and Kylan. They packing for the live. They're talking, all that stuff. Kylan is a trip. I love her. Moving on, we get to live day. Setup is gorgeous, of course. Pep, the person who be setting everything up, like, I know her fee's expensive. Cause the job she do from the pre-release party and from the 48 hour is gorgeous. Set up gorgeous. I know she charged an arm and a leg, but if I ever could one day afford her prices, I don't know what her prices are, but I feel like I know it's expensive. If I could ever afford it one day, I'm definitely gonna need to hit her up for something. That's for sure. Then we get to Stormy's in boss mode, whatever. Okay, good for her. I'm proud. We then get to Fumi, Kayla, and Shanetta. They're driving on the way to the live. Shanetta feels like that's the perfect time to call Tiffany to check up on her since she's not coming to the live. Why? For what? And she's in good spirits, I guess. And Fumi's talking about she gives props to Tiffany for being in good spirits, because she did say that if it was her, she wouldn't be feeling the same. That's nice and all for me. I'm just still trying to understand why Shanetta is calling Tiffany and putting her on speakerphone on the way to the live. You couldn't send her a text? I know this for TV, but sometimes it's like, y'all, you could have sent a text. Or you could have called her before you got in the call. You knew what you was doing. Y'all being messy for no reason. Anyway, they get to talking about Kayla and Jason and her father passing when she was 11. She does get a little emotional. Producers messy as hell, asking Fumi in the confessional, do they think that she got daddy issues? Fumi's like, nah, she got parental issues. Girl, yeah. From her mama and her dad, yeah. Big time. And Tiffany does admit to that. She alludes to that as well. So okay. Then we get to Ricky Smiley calling Tiffany his niece and, talking, asking what she up to. She's taking a day trip to Atlanta with her hubby. She packing and stuff. The way she packing, I'm like, is this a day trip or is this like a half a week trip? It looked like days trip. But, she hoping that she get pregnant on the day trip. Are you ovulating? Like, you're going for a day, ma'am. You act like you better go on a 2-week vacation in the Maldives. It's a day trip to Atlanta, ma'am. Like, you're going to the state over. Like, y'all driving over there? Y'all flying? I don't know what it is. It's a day trip. But if y'all driving all the way over there, I don't know how far Birmingham is from Atlanta. I don't feel like Googling it right now. If I do Google it, you'll see it on the screen. But again, ma'am, you're going to Atlanta for a day. Unless you're ovulating, you're probably not gonna get pregnant. And the way you talking seems like you gonna try to not guilt trip him, but you gonna try to make sure you get pregnant by any means necessary. That's a little concerning, especially if he said he want a vasectomy. Cause let a girl want to get her tubes tied, and homeboy be like, no, I'm gonna put a baby in her. We would all be in uproar. All right, Tiffany. Okay. So then we get to them rehearsing for the live. Lala comes through looking like a whole New Yorker in her outfit. I loved it. And, they talk about pricing and what they're going to flash for the first 20 minutes, her and Amber, So, pretty much definitely in boss mode, definitely in work mode. Cool. So the live finally begins. The sound isn't working. So Stormy's like, the sound's not working. But, eventually they get it working. And, they do their little intro, whatnot. And the first thing they flash is the Lala books. It was initially retail priced for $300. Stormy said they gonna flash it for $175. And this is the book that they've been talking about for the past 2 episodes, which is the whole perfume, the big 8-ounce body glaze, the 4-ounce body oil, body drops, and the roll-on, and then lastly a small travel creme de la creme, the lotion. No, I'm not gonna tell you my secret. I didn't buy it in the beginning. I bought it like a couple weeks ago. I bought the glaze during the live, but I bought the book later. When it wasn't so hot. Even though it's still hot, but it's not hot. If you catch my drift. Anyway, so initially on the little pin thing, it showed a picture of the book. For some reason, within a few seconds, it turned from the picture of the book to a picture of the trios, which is just the 8-ounce glaze, the 4-ounce body drops, and the roll-on for $175. So now people are confused because the description still says like the book, but the picture is showing the trio. You see where this could cause confusion, discrepancy, uproar. So while they're literally flashing it, Stormy's looking at the picture like she was happy, she was smiling or whatever, trying to get through it. But then she's looking at her phone. She's looking deep into her phone because she sees what's going on. So she's like, okay, hold on, Mike, I'm going to need you to come out here. I need to go fix something. So now she's in the back talking with Amber, going back and forth in regards to like, yo, look, this is, she's getting, frustrated, anxious. The lady who playing the harp, she's saying like, stop the harp. She's getting high. She put her eyeglasses on, and kind of getting frustrated, kind of getting snippy with like Amber and stuff, because Amber's like, well, you told me to pin something, and it's just like, that's not the time to be saying that. Amber, like, Amber, come on, focus. And she's like, oh, I know my friend getting frustrated, we all can see that. Now, all in that, it gets intense. All for me to say, I understand completely. I may not be no CEO. I don't think I would ever want to be a CEO of Stormy's caliber, because I don't got the time. I don't got the patience for that. But I can understand, especially for Stormy, with the mishaps and stuff that she's been through with her other lives. It's like, and plus she's a perfectionist on top of that. She cannot have any like mishaps, even though there's always going to be mishaps because nothing's ever perfect. But like, she in her head, because she even was starting to get emotional. I don't understand these people on the tiki TikTok or just YouTube. I don't know, but people will go hard at Stormy for any little mishap she does. And this is not for me taking up for her, because there's been sometimes I'm like, Stormy, come on, bro, like we broke out in these streets. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, when she first started, when she came out with the gold labels, dog, she said it was $100. I said, why? Like, I get it, but girl, that's $100. I used to be able to get 4 glaze retail price for $100. They used to be $25, then she went to $32, and then she came with a gold label. So like, I was one of those people who was like, dang, that's $100. I mean, I was still gonna buy it, even if she left it at retail. I was still gonna buy it. It's just I wouldn't be able to buy at the capacity I used to buy multiple. There was one time she was having, I think it was for Black Friday 2024. That was a great Black Friday, bro. I got like a good 10 glazes. Mm-hmm. But anywho, that's all in all to say, people come at Stormy hard. Like any little thing, like they're so quick to judge. They're so quick to be like, oh, this is that. Like, oh, I ordered this. It's still not here yet. This, like, she had, and she admits to her faults. Even though I feel like in the beginning she does try to be passionate, she does try to defend her craft, but eventually I do feel like when she sits back and look at things and where she could improve, she then does become humbled and be like, okay, yes, we do need to improve on this and improve on that. So any new big thing she comes out with, it's like she always says, she always has to do it better than the last, because there's always a learning experience from every life. So look, that's all in all to say, I always give Stormy her credit for everything she does thus far. I thank her for my soft skin, because Nivea was starting not to work. You know what I'm saying? So life of a CEO, life. I hope people who actually watch this, like, they really do see, like, bro, this is not just flashing stuff, and no, it's like a whole business behind this. And when you look at all this production and stuff, like I said, I know Pep charge a lot. I know she might give Stormy a discount, but I'm pretty sure it's still in the 4 digits. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's not easy being CEO of any business, and then for someone of Stormy's caliber, like, it just gets harder and harder every time. So now, episode 3, I'm effing with it hard and heavy. I was always effing with it, but like now I'm just like, yup. But anywho, let me know your thoughts about this episode. Be easy, breezy, lemon squeezy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.